The Switch and Switch 2 have some of the best indie games ever made, and honestly, a lot of them are better than most AAA titles. Today, I'm counting down 15 that you absolutely need to play. Let's get into it. Mouse P.I. for Hire. You play as Jack Pepper, a war veteran turned private investigator living in Mouseburg, a city where every character is a cartoon mouse ripped straight from a 1930s black and white animated short. The rubber hose animation is drawn by hand, frame by frame, and it looks absolutely stunning in motion. The game starts when Jack gets a tip that an old associate has gone missing, and what begins as a simple missing persons case spirals into a deep noir conspiracy full of corrupt cops, crime bosses, and murder. Gameplay is a first-person shooter, fast, loud, and arena-based. You blast through waves of gangster mice, pick up wild cartoon weapons, and power up with spinach-fueled upgrades. Between the shooting sections, there are detective segments where you investigate crime scenes, gather clues, and use Jack's tail to pick locks in a satisfying puzzle mechanic.
Hey, don't shoot.
Cuphead, a little cartoon cup who, along with his brother Mugman, makes a deal with the devil and has to collect soul contracts from a bunch of debtors to pay off the debt. Each debtor is a boss. That's mostly the game boss fights, back to back, all presented in that gorgeous 1930s hand-drawn animation style. Every single boss is completely different. You fight a giant carrot, a slot machine king, a genie, a dragon, and every single one of them has multiple phases and a completely different set of attack patterns. You die. A lot. You learn. You adapt. Eventually you beat them and feel like a god. There are run and gun levels too, but the bosses are the real deal. The animation is so clean, it looks like you're playing a Disney cartoon from 1936. The jazz soundtrack is live recorded and bangs every single track. The difficulty is brutal, but always fair. Dave the Diver sounds simple on paper. You dive in the ocean, catch fish, and run a sushi restaurant. But then you play it and realize there's so much more happening under the surface. Dave is a retired diver who gets roped into helping out at a sushi bar run by his eccentric friend Bancho. Every day, you dive into the Blue Hole, a mysterious ocean trench that changes depth and layout every time you go in. You harpoon fish, dodge sharks, discover underwater ruins, fight sea monsters, and uncover a full-on mystery about an ancient civilization. At night, you manage the restaurant, setting the menu, serving customers, upgrading your kitchen staff. The mix of casual restaurant management and actual action-adventure underwater is surprisingly seamless. It never feels like two different games jammed together. The pixel art is gorgeous, the humor is great, and the cast of characters is genuinely charming. Vampire Survivors. You pick a character, walk around a map, and survive waves of monsters for as long as possible. You don't aim your weapons fire automatically, you just move. That's it. And somehow, it's one of the most addictive games ever made. Every minute or so, you level up and pick a new weapon or upgrade from a random selection. Weapons combine with each other to create evolved, massively powerful versions. By the end of a run, you're firing dozens of projectiles in every direction, obliterating thousands of enemies per second in this chaotic, screen-filling mess of destruction. It feels insane in the best way. There's no real story, just a loose mythology about monsters, relics, and a cursed legacy stretching across generations. You unlock new characters, weapons, stages, and secrets by playing. Everything new you discover changes up your strategy. It's a pure gameplay loop that never stops giving. Mio is a Metroidvania set on a massive space ark called The Vessel, an enormous technological structure adrift in space, overgrown with alien vegetation, its AI caretaker silent, its systems failing. You play as Mio, a small robot who wakes up with barely any abilities and has to explore the vessel, find out what went wrong, and save it from shutdown before it's too late. The movement in this game is incredibly satisfying. Mio starts with a double jump and a basic attack, but as you defeat bosses and recover lost memories, you unlock new abilities. A grapple using her hair, wall climbing, a perfectly timed dodge that lets you bounce off enemy projectiles like a pinball. The aerial combat gets seriously fluid once everything clicks. The upgrade system pulls from Nier Automata's chip mechanic, where you install mods with limited capacity, balancing powerful buffs against debuffs attached to them. Tunic is one of those games that keeps surprising you. On the surface, it looks like a cute, simple action-adventure about a small fox exploring ruins and dungeons. And it is that, but it's also a deep, layered puzzle game, built around an in-game instruction manual written in an invented language that you gradually piece together over the course of the whole game. You find pages of the manual as you explore, and it slowly reveals mechanics you didn't even know existed. The combat has stamina management, dodging, shield parrying, and boss fights that are tough without being unfair. The world is completely open and encourages exploration in every direction. But the real hook is the mystery. The game doesn't explain itself at all. No tutorials, no map markers, no guidance. You have to read the manual, test things, take notes, and piece together what's actually going on. Slay the Spire. You start with a small set of basic cards and slowly add new ones at the end of each fight, building synergies and combos as you climb. Every run is different because the cards you're offered are random, forcing you to adapt your strategy on the fly. You choose from 4 different characters, each with completely different card pools and playstyles. The Ironclad goes for raw power. The Silent plays with poison and shivs. The Defect uses orbs and focus mechanics. The Watcher manipulates stances for massive damage. The combat is turn-based, methodical, and incredibly deep. Figuring out what cards work together, what relics change your strategy, when to fight, and when to take the safer path. It all builds into something that never feels stale. There are boss fights, elite encounters, events, and mystery rooms. Sea of Stars is a turn-based RPG with no random encounters, no leveling grind, and incredibly polished pixel art that looks better than most games from that golden era it's referencing. The story follows Zale and Valir, 2 solstice warriors born under the sun and moon who train to harness celestial magic and fight fleshmancers, dark alchemists who create horrifying monsters. The world they travel through is huge, full of towns, dungeons, secrets, and a surprisingly emotional main story. The combat system is the main event. Every attack can be boosted by timing a button press on impact, and enemies flash which damage types will break their attacks. You're constantly juggling your party's combo moves, MP usage, and the live mana system. Hitting enemies generates mana that charges your magic in real time. Nothing drags. Pipistrello and the Cursed Yoyo. A bat and self-proclaimed yo-yo master from the powerful Pipistrello family, whose aunt runs a massive energy monopoly in New Jolt City. When 4 crime bosses invade the family mansion and use a soul-stealing device on her, Pipit's yo-yo absorbs a fragment of her soul, and now the 2 of them have to take down the crime syndicate to get her back. The game plays like a top-down Zelda from the GBA era, but the yo-yo is the center of everything. You throw it, bounce it off angled walls to hit enemies from behind, ride it across water, grind along edges, and chain tricks together to reach hidden areas. It's combat, traversal, and puzzle solving, all built around one tool that keeps revealing new uses the entire game. The upgrade system is brilliant. You take out contracts from a loan shark cousin to unlock permanent upgrades. But while the debt is active, you take penalties like reduced damage or less health. Ori and the Blind Forest. You play as Ori, a small guardian spirit separated from their forest spirit mother, Naru, after the forest begins to die around them. The story is told almost without words, through animation and music, and it hits harder than most cinematic games with full voice acting. The gameplay is a precision platformer and Metroidvania. Ori moves incredibly fluidly, and as you progress, you gain abilities like wall jumping, bashing off projectiles to launch yourself, and a teleport dash that chains together beautifully. The movement feels like flying once you've got everything unlocked. The game also features a unique save mechanic called Soul Link, rather than checkpoints. You spend soul energy to create your own save points anywhere you want. This makes every jump feel consequential. The The Definitive Edition adds new areas, abilities, and story content. Celeste is a masterpiece. You should play it if you haven't. The platforming is tight, demanding, and incredibly precise. You can jump, air dash in 8 directions, and grab onto walls. That's your whole toolkit. The game builds an enormous amount of complexity and challenge from just those mechanics. You'll die hundreds of times, but every death is fast respawn, try again, adjust. The difficulty curve feels like learning, not punishment. The story mirrors the gameplay in a way that's hard to explain without spoiling it. Madeline's journey up the mountain, the characters she meets, and the darker side of herself she confronts are all woven together with the climbing in a deeply intentional way. There are assist mode options for accessibility. There's B-side and C-side challenge content for players who want to go absolutely insane with difficulty. Mina the Hollower. You play as Mina, a brilliant inventor and member of the Hollowers Guild, who travels to Tenebrous Isle after receiving word from her friend, Baron Lionel, that the island's spark generator's power sources she designed are failing. She barely makes it there before everything goes sideways. The game is a top-down action-adventure in the spirit of early Zelda games, but with Souls-like elements woven in. The key mechanic is hollowing. Mina can burrow underground at any time, avoiding damage, crossing hazards, digging up hidden items, and repositioning in combat. It's her defining ability, and it shapes every part of the game. You pick from 5 weapons, including a whip, a flail, daggers, a mace, and others, each with completely different movesets. Bones are the currency, drops by enemies and dug from the ground, used to level up and buy items. Hollow Knight Silksong. You play as Hornet, the princess protector of Hallownest from the first game, who finds herself captured and transported to a completely new kingdom called Farloom, a towering land ruled by silk, ceremony, and song, where strange creatures observe ancient rituals and an ominous citadel sits at the very peak. Hornet plays completely differently from the Knight. She's faster, more aggressive, and has access to a massive crafting-based tool system. You collect materials across the kingdom to craft weapons, traps, and utility items that expand your combat and exploration options. She can silkbind, spear enemies, and execute acrobatic combos that feel incredibly fluid. There are over 200 enemy types, dozens of bosses, and a world that feels enormous and interconnected in that same labyrinthine way as the first game. Hades 2. This time you play as Melinoe, the princess of the underworld, and sister of Zagreus from the first game. She's been training her whole life for one purpose: to kill Kronos, the Titan of Time, who broke free from Tartarus and seized the underworld. Her mentor is Hecate, the witch goddess, who serves as the first boss in the game. Melinoe fights completely differently from Zagreus. She has a magic meter that powers charged Omega versions of her attacks, a cast that places energy traps on the ground, and hex abilities granted by the moon goddess Selene. The arsenal includes weapons like the Sister Blades, the Moonstone Axe, and an Argent Skull. The hub world, the Crossroads, is packed with a full alchemy system, incantations, familiars, and an Arcana card system, replacing the Mirror of Night from the first game. Blueprints. Here's the setup. You've inherited Mount Holly, a 45-room estate, and your late great-uncle's will promises you the full inheritance if you can find the rumored 46th room. Every time you step into the mansion, you draft its layout yourself. Every time you approach a door, you choose one room from 3 options to place behind it. The layout resets every day. Every run starts fresh. Your stamina limits how many rooms you can explore before the day ends. The catch is that the drafting system, the room types, the items you find, and the clues hidden throughout everything, they all connect to an enormous, layered mystery that goes way, way deeper than finding a missing room. You're piecing together a story of blackmail, political corruption, literary legacy, and family secrets entirely through notes scattered around a house that reconfigures itself every single day. Every single game on here is worth your money and your time. Drop a comment with which one you're picking up first, and if you want more Switch and Switch 2 coverage, subscribe and hit the bell. See you in the next one.